Hey good people, hola mi gente, MsMalcolmHughes here. Welcome back. And hopefully you all have seen my review of this book, The Perfect Find, up on the channel. But today we're actually going to get into the study questions for the book. Let's go. I haven't read these questions yet. It's going to be very authentic with you all. I will read them and give you my honest answers. Question number 1. The Perfect Find is full of hilarious and thrilling moments. What was your favorite part of the novel? Why? Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind for me is the ending. And I guess that last chapter, because it jumps 4 years, but we get so much information. I was curious how she would make that leap from where we ended before that to wrapping this all up in a bow with a limited number of pages that were in my fingers as I was reading. But she did it. She did it in a way that felt natural. It gave me most of the answers that I needed. And I got to see Jenna and Eric have a full circle moment. And I thought it was just beautiful and well done. And so that's my favorite scene. It's one of the scenes that actually made me cry. I also really enjoy the scene in which when Eric holds Jenna so tight that she has like a lot of bruises on her arms the next day. You'll understand why it's not abuse. You'll understand why once you read the book. But I really felt empathy and connection with Eric in that moment. 2. Darcy takes a rather cutthroat, no-nonsense approach to life. How does this help her in the workforce, and how does this affect her relationship outside the office? She's horrible. In the workplace, she's in a position of power, so people fear her, people cower to that. But outside of that, she has no friends. She has to use her sexual prowess to get favors. Her son doesn't really care for her. She has no one in her life who's a friend. We don't really know much about Darcy other than that she is this deplorable force who will do any and everything to get revenge and get her way. It's not a good look. 3. Darcy and Jenna were enemies long before they were boss and employee, due to what is arguably a misunderstanding. Why does Darcy still dislike Jenna so much? At the end, Darcy really speaks to the fact that Jenna has been able to maintain this good girl persona and image, even though Darcy thinks that she is as ruthless and vile as she is. As we travel with Jenna throughout this journey of a book, it's arguable that that's not the case, and it just is not true. And I think that Darcy is upset that she feels as if, I don't know, she lost her humanity throughout this journey, and somehow this journey to the top, and somehow Jenna is still successful but has been able to maintain this sense of self and kindness that has long since escaped Darcy herself. 4. Chapter 5 introduces Eric's lifelong best friend Tim, the bad boy to Eric's golden boy, and his adopted brother Thuong. Discuss your thoughts on their frank conversations about making their intentions clear to women, being friend-zoned, and their general thoughts on their relationship to the women in their lives. Was this conversation something that surprised you, or did you expect it? The conversation is regular talk you'll hear between friends of any gender, honestly, but it's just, you know, talking about trying to get with this person, the situation they're in. It was a little surprising the conversation between the younger brother and this Instagram model that he's talking to, and how they school him of like, she's probably a catfish and you're also a catfish because she thinks you're a businessman, you think she's a model, that's probably someone else. So it was interesting to see them schooling the younger generation to the tricks of the trade of the game. And it's also here where we learn how Eric first lost his virginity, and we get some of that background between Tim and Eric and why they are so tight. So I did appreciate that and really enjoy it. But yeah, nothing too surprising. I think we all have different types of friends, and so I totally could see why Eric and Tim were friends, though on the surface they seemed different. But sometimes you need that yin and that yang to balance it all out. 5. Eric was raised by Darcy in a rather unconventional way. How did his childhood influence him as an adult? Darcy wasn't a great mother. She wasn't really there. So therefore, Eric really had to take care of himself. He had to become self-reliant. And as an adult, again, he's self-assured, not scared to go after the things that he wants, but he engages with others sometimes surface level. Like, he flirts and has banter for fun to get the things that he needs, but he doesn't really want to make those deep connections to people because he doesn't want to lose them. And I really, really connected with Eric on that point. So in many ways it works for him, and in some other ways it's to his deficit. 6. The Perfect Find examines the world of magazine publishing and digital media. How do you think the media landscape has changed from the world of The Perfect Find to now? Everything that they were talking about in The Perfect Find is now exacerbated. It's now exponential to what was happening then, right? Those were just the beginning stages of Instagram and all of that, and having a social media presence or being a social media influencer. And we all live in this time, so we know where we are now, where everything is socially driven, right? It's based on numbers. How many followers do you have? What's your imprint? What all of that, right? So it went from something that was new and exciting and people were really dipping their foot in to like where we are now, where it's everywhere and everything. 7. Fashion is a major part of Jenna's life. What are some of the pros and cons of the fashion world as seen through Jenna's eyes? How does this compare to the way her co-workers view the industry? So Jenna's an OG in the fashion world. She'd already been there, already been successful. And so for her, she likes to blend the two, right? She likes to mix traditional with nuance, as opposed to her colleagues who at that time were all millennials and were all just very hip to it. And so for her, or for them, when looking at her, they think that like sometimes they think she's fly, you know, because she has the credibility, and they're all on edge because they're new to their careers, but they think some of her ways are outdated, but she's able to bring the savviness that she has from before, and she eventually learns to make it modern with the help of Eric, so it works out for everyone. And by the time that the story progresses, she has a very great camaraderie with her colleagues. 8. Throughout the book, Jenna struggles to catch on to the language of the younger people around her. She says, "Who's sweet?" instead of "Hootsuite," and "keep it 100" instead of "keeping it 100." Discuss the ways in which she learns how to adapt after missing the technological and social media revolution. Have you had similar experiences in your own life in regards to the ways language and technology evolved? So they give you prime examples. Like I said before, she had fled to Virginia. I talk about that in the review. And so she didn't really have the opportunity to be abreast of all the technological and social media advances. So when she first joined, she is out of place, out of sorts, out of time. And like I said, Eric and her other colleagues, they really helped to bring her up to speed quickly. I think for me, examples of this, I am sometimes really hesitant to new apps. So I don't have a TikTok. I don't see myself getting one, but I know that everyone and everything is on TikTok now, and that's the big social media trend, and that's also SEO now. People go and use that as a search engine for everything and anything, right? It's the way in which I view YouTube. If I want to see how to put something together, I was like, someone probably has a YouTube video on that. But the current thing is TikTok. People are like, oh, I know someone has TikTok videos about that, and they use it in the same manner. So though I don't feel out of the loop because I know what TikTok is, I know how to use it, I'm aware of it, if there's particular or specific TikTok jargon or videos or things that are happening, TikTok trends, I never know what they are because I'm not on it. 9. The Perfect Find comments on the divide between the younger and older characters. Ultimately though, are they all that different? Discuss the instances in the book that exemplify the similarities between these characters. So they're not all that different, right? Same game, different players, as the old saying goes. So the industry is still the industry, right? The game is still the game. And if you know the rules, then you can adjust, right? Jargon may be different, the applications that are used may be different, but like Jenna was able to discover when she had an embarrassing situation and ran into some colleagues when she didn't want to, like they told her, we're all the same. They're all in the same boat. They all have the same anxieties of trying to prove themselves and be successful in the fashion industry, understanding that it's constantly evolving and changing. New people are coming in, old people are going out, and you really want to make your impression and your footprint. So at the end of the day, we're all humans having very human experiences. So more or less the same. 10. Though Eric is younger than Jenna, their relationship works. Discuss what you think really brought them together. What lessons about love do they learn from each other? As they would say, they're kindred spirits, right? They have a deep passion for old films, and they are both two people who are authentically themselves. Jenna learns to be more of this from the jump with Eric, but I think when it comes to love lessons, I think they both learn that, one, sometimes you gotta let go. Sometimes love is not enough, no matter how badly you want it. But to be true to yourself in the process of love and discovery, and allowing time to do the work that time does. Anyone who knows me knows I used to detest time. I hated it. But the reality is we need it in order to grow. There are some things you can only learn with time. Some lessons will only be taught in time. And you evolve and grow and become better in time if you're doing the work. So sometimes you need to give it time, and they had to learn that. 11. Brian confesses the real reason why he let things sour in his relationship with Jenna. Discuss the way you think toxic masculinity contributed to his extenuating circumstances. So Eric and Jenna, Brian and Jenna, both have similarities in the sense that you can't project your desires onto another person, and that works both ways. On one hand, it's like you can't expect someone else to want what you want, but also you can't limit someone else's desires based on what you think they should want. And so Brian is someone who really built up his self-confidence and self-worth based on financial success, based on business prowess, based on being a successful realtor, and that was his image, that was his life, right? The perfect life. Young man coming from Philly, building himself up, becoming successful in the New York real estate industry, having a perfect girlfriend who would inevitably become his wife, and that was the vision, right? Everything was pristine, the allure. But in reality, he had made some bad investments and things changed, and he couldn't communicate with that to his longtime partner. He felt that his role was to keep her accustomed to the lifestyle that he had positioned her in. And as a result of that, he wasn't communicating. He wasn't letting her know. He wasn't allowing her to be a partner and work through the challenges with him. And so in that, he pushed her away. And someone is only gonna stay unhappy and despondent and in a horrible situation where they're not getting what they need for so long before the foundation crumbles, because you're no longer reapplying, you're no longer resealing, you're no longer giving the foundation the things that it needs to continue to hold you all up. And so that's what happens with Brian and Jenna. The toxic masculinity does play a part in that he felt like he had to shoulder all of that and didn't allow her the opportunity to be a partner and support him and support them in their life and their dreams together. 12. Jenna and her friends comment on being the only Black women at their workplaces, and they connect over this experience. How do Jenna and her friends work through and handle what this lack of representation brings? All right, so this is actually a question that I think Tia Williams may have think she did more in the book to address this than she actually did. I don't feel like this is something that was thoroughly acknowledged. Race does come up frequently, but not in a way where I feel like it was deeply unpacked. it was like surface level. We're calling out cliches or misunderstandings that others may have, but I feel like that was really an area of the book that should have been explored and expounded upon more. Therefore, I don't really feel like they did a lot. Like, they addressed the fact that Jenna was in a biracial relationship for a long time. Her partner was white and the complexities therein, but again, in a very cursory, surface level type of way. She has a friend who is Black and Korean, I want to say, and so a lot of people tell her she looks like Morley Simmons, and addressing that, or the fact that they do live in this community and they have people who come to events who are like older white women who are like Chiquita Banana outfits and the problems they're in. But I feel like these things could have been explored more. She calls them out, but she doesn't unpack them. So I do feel like that was an area of opportunity for the book. 13. Discuss how Billy and Elodie helped Jenna navigate restarting her life. Do you agree with most of their advice? What are your thoughts on the strength of Jenna's friendships? Honestly, this book focused heavily on Jenna and Eric, but I do think we had opportunities with her friends, and they were really letting her know that, one, you gotta move on, you have feelings for him, what are you gonna do about it? But when it mattered the most, I think when we really needed to see what they would say, that's something that we are deprived of. Like I said in my review, there's a 4-year jump. So there's 4 years of them supporting her. We do realize that, like, they all live in this community together now, and they're raising the kids together and all of that, and it's beautiful, but we don't really get that background, those intimate moments of seeing them have those hard conversations. I really wish we would have gotten to see how the process was for Jenna being pregnant. What were those tough conversations she had to have with herself as far as whether she was going to keep the child? There was so much there of how she got from point A to point Z, and I really wish we would have gotten more information, and we really didn't. She wrapped it up nicely, but I do honestly wish that we would have gotten to explore that more. And like I said in my review, I wish that the book would have been longer. So I feel like there was a lot more to unpack there that's not shared with us, the reader. 14. Brian says to Jenna, "You want what you can't have," which he believes is at the heart of what women want. Discuss your thoughts on this statement and examples from the book that would support or refute it. Honestly, I think that was Brian's way of trying to absolve himself and to comfort himself about not being able to have the woman that he planned this future with. Do I think that it's true? Sure. Sometimes people want what they can't have. Do I think that it's true in terms of Jenna? No. I don't think that Brian was something that she couldn't have. I don't think that Eric was something that she couldn't have. I don't think her career was something that she couldn't have. I don't think her dreams were something that she couldn't have. She achieved all of these things, and she did it with intentionality. So no, I don't think any of these things are things that she couldn't have. Now, the situation with Eric is a little tricky because if you can look at the age difference, or the fact that he was Darcy's son, or the fact that he wasn't where she was in life career-wise, or ready to start a family. There were a number of factors. However, it was two people who had natural and organic chemistry, who were drawn to each other, and they chose to pursue that. There was really nothing that said they couldn't have each other. There were just obstacles of whether or not they would choose to go forward with each other in spite of the obstacles, and they did. So I think that he was wrong. I think that he was projecting, and I think that he should go get therapy and hug himself. 15, the final question. In the end, Jenna thinks to herself, did happy endings truly exist in real life? Maybe they did. Maybe this was hers. Do you believe happy endings can truly exist? How did The Perfect Find's happy ending compare to other romantic comedies? This is a good question for me. I've been reflecting on this a lot in life. You know, life can throw you with a lot of different curveballs, and feelings toward certain desires or goals or whatever may change, and grappling with the change of it all. So do I believe in happy endings? Yes. I've seen many people have happy endings. It's a struggle. It's something you fight for, something you work toward. It's not like a happy ending just falls upon your lap. Maybe the beginnings of one, but in order to sustain it and see it through, it takes effort, it takes work, it takes diligence. And so this, in comparison to others, I think, you know, like many others, it's a question mark. This one is more of a concrete question mark, in that we can likely guess where they will go, where our characters will continue to progress on their journey. And sometimes in others, you're just really left with a huge question mark where you're like, what? I need more, this isn't enough, or that was completely left field. But I feel like this one made sense. I do feel like everything was wrapped up in a bow, so we got conclusions. Like I keep saying, I could have read more, I kind of wanted more. But overall, like I said in my review, I really enjoyed this book. I'm looking forward to the movie coming out on Netflix. I'm gonna check it out. And once it does and I'm able to watch it and process it, I will come back and do a book versus adaptation comparison for you all. That is it for me. I am MsMalcolmHughes, one who believes that books are sometimes better than people. And until the next one, please remember to give time, to be kind to each other, and to have the best day of your life on purpose. Peace, lo davo, adios, ciao.